Hey guys, in this video we're going to be talking about reflections. So we have this format here, R, which stands for reflection, to indicate that the shape on our graph or the points are going to be reflected over either the y or the x-axis. So when we have an image here, looking at this graph over here, we see an image in quadrant 1. So if there was a reflection, this image could be reflected on quadrant 2, which is over the y-axis, or onto quadrant number 4, which is over the x-axis. So how do we know which format or which way the image is going to be reflected? So one way to identify it is that when you have the same thing, if the x stays the same, that means the image is reflected over the x-axis. So over x-axis. In this case, the y stays the same, like you don't see any change of signs. So this means this is over the y-axis. And let's go ahead and do a couple of practice. For this one, I'm going to say that this function goes from x comma y to r, or we don't have to write r again, x comma negative y. So right away we can say that this is over the x-axis, so over x. So we know the image is going to be reflected into quadrant number 4, this one right here. So let's look at how we would do this. So we have the points CA, which is 0, 2. We have point B, which is 1, 2, 2, 3. And then point C, which is 1, 1. So this is our before. If you remember in our previous video, we created a before and after chart. We're going to do the same thing here, before and after. So for reflections, you want to imagine that the x-axis is a mirror. So when we look at this, we see that, let's start with point C, since it's the closest to the x-axis. We see that it's exactly 1 away from the x-axis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plot this point exactly 1 away from the x-axis onto quadrant 4. So right here, onto quadrant number 4. So right over here, and this would be my C prime. Now let's do letter A, or point A. We see that this is 2 away from the x-axis, so I'm going to go vertically down 2 units, and I end up over here at 0, -2. So this is A prime. And then last but not least, point B, which is 3 units from the x-axis. So I'm going to go 3 units down right here to negative, or positive 2 and -3. So when I connect these points, I'm going to get the same shape reflected like this. So as you can see, you're reflecting it, not just moving it down. So that's very important to realize. You're just, going vertically down. You're moving the points, yes, but, C is below B here in this image, in the before, but in this case, C is above B. So that's important to realize. And also don't forget your prime notation for the after. You want to make sure that you realize the apostrophes represent the after. Again, we can put down our points A prime, which is 0, -2, B prime, which is 2, -3, and C prime, which is 1, -1. As you can see from the points, the x's stayed the same, 0, 0, 2, 2, positive 1, positive 1. But in this case, like we said, y goes to negative y. So 2 becomes negative 2, 3 becomes negative 3, 1 becomes negative 1. So that's kind of how you could do it. You can also just do the points first and then plot them. That's completely fine as well. And that's what we're going to do over the y-axis. So our notation for that would be r, which indicates a reflection, r x comma y goes to, since we want a reflection over the y-axis, the x is going to change. So let's label our points. So our before is going to be A, which is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, negative 3, comma 1. B is going to be negative 1, comma 1. And then C is going to be negative 1, comma negative 1. So my after. So I'm going to do 1 point on the graph and directly, and then for B and C, I'm going to do them here on this table and then plot them to show that, it doesn't really matter what you do. So for A, again, I know it's going to end up on this side over here because it's over the y-axis, over y. So I'm going to do point B actually because it's point B or C because it's the closest. So B is 1 away from the y-axis. So I'm going to plot a point exactly 1 unit away from the y-axis. So this is my new B prime. Next, we see that, let's go back to the table. So B is now our new B value. Oops, wrong color. It has to be blue. Sorry, guys. Okay, B prime, which is now 1, comma 1. So as you can see, our x's changed sign, but our y stayed the same. So let's do that for A and C. Use the table. So our x values are going to change sign. So it's going to be positive 3 and the y stays the same. So positive 3, 1, 2, 3, positive 1, A prime. This is my new A prime. A prime. And then for C, we have the x again changing sign, positive 1, and we're going to keep the y the same of negative 1. So 1, negative 1 is right here. So when I draw my triangle or connect the points, I'm going to see that it's been reflected over the y-axis. So B's were the closest to the y, and A's were the furthest from the y. We just want to make sure everything is being consistent. So that's reflection over the x and y axes.